We now have the strongest storm of 2020 and the strongest typhoon in the Western Pacific since 2016. This is Super Typhoon Goni, known as Rolly in the Philippines. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. By the way, please do subscribe to this channel. I try to keep these posts and these updates as frequent as possible. Let's talk about this storm. 287 kilometers per hour with gusts of 351 kilometers per hour. Pressure now down to 915 hectopascals. Very rare I start off these videos just first off in awe of this storm system. This is a potent engine out here. If you are ahead of this, you need to take this seriously. You need to follow the warnings from PAGASA. If you are being asked to evacuate, do not hesitate. This is one of those storms, if it comes on shore in your area, there's going to be significant damage. Just getting that out of the way first. If you are in the cone of air, you need to get ready for it. And I would love to give a local forecast for everybody. I'm going to just give you a kind of a general outlook here. Check in with your local weather. Check in with your local authorities about what they're planning. Forecast is shifting south as well, by the way, from yesterday or even the day prior. That's the thing. The forecast changes from day to day. Now it does look like Manila could take a more of a direct impact here. Like I mentioned, this is the strongest storm since 2016. It's sitting over sea surface temperatures that are 2 to 3 degrees above average. That is just fuel for the fire. You are throwing gasoline and ethanol and everything flammable on top of this and letting it blow up. It is expected to continue to track towards the west, as I mentioned, west-southwest, likely around Legazpi, east of Manila with a landfall. But I want to mention the intensity. Winds right now 155 knots sustained, with those gusts 190 knots. I mean, over 300 kilometers per hour. It is expected to start to weaken now. We're looking at a little bit of drier air out ahead of this. Could cause it to come off a little bit. But, I mean, look at this. Still over 100 knots sustained as it comes on shore. That is enough to cause serious damage. So even if we're going to see a little bit of a weaker storm system, by no means at landfall will it be weak. Let's take a look at the track from PAGASA here as well. They actually are starting to see that shift a little bit further towards the south around Legazpi as well, pushing off here towards Quezon, around Aurora, coming over Angeles, and even out there towards Subic, but just passing north of Manila. But here's the thing I want you to take a look at. These are the multi-tracks from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, JMA, PAGASA, Taiwan, and Korea. If you're unfamiliar with the Western Pacific, everybody likes to warn on these storm systems. JMA is the official, they're the NHC equivalent, but everybody else warns on these anyways. PAGASA even names their own storm systems. That's why we have two names. Do I agree with it? That's different video for a different time. But these are the multi-tracks. The key thing, they don't all match up. I would love it if at this point they all match up. People have been asking me, is this the final track? The agencies can't even decide. They're all shifting a little bit further towards the south, and I think they're going to shift even more further towards the south, coming on shore kind of like that, just around Manila towards the NCR. I mean, this is the ECMWF ensemble. You get an idea of the spread there from the European model. It's just some different variables. High pressure north of this is causing it to push a little bit further towards the south. The forecast changes. I mean, I wish I was a fortune teller. Telling the future is hard. And the difference between 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers makes a massive difference, especially with that inner core of the eye wall. And that's why I always say, check the cone of air. If you are in that cone of air, prepare. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it definitely could. That's a good thing to always remember, especially with the shifting south, guys. The other worry I have is if this comes off like that, comes just north of Manila, storm surge and damaging winds, damaging winds could be potential in the NCR, but also a storm surge. I have seen this personally. The winds will wrap around on the southern periphery of this as it passes just towards the north, and we could get a funneling effect around Cavite City over towards Rojas Boulevard there in Manila. I mean, you could be seeing a bit of a surge there on the western flank of this storm system. So even though you're not being that direct landfall when it comes on shore, once it moves over land, those winds could be pushing up into the bay. We could be seeing a large population seeing a rising coastal flood event if it takes this particular track. It's something I always worry about when I see a track just like this. Of course, along the East Coast, storm surge, definitely potential out there. Plus the rainfall, of course, already saturated grounds. This is actually indicating upwards of 500 millimeters in a few areas here. That's on top of, like I said, already saturated grounds. We've had 6 previously named storm systems in the past month and a half alone. Extreme heavy rain, but flooding, I think, is more of the big issue here. Storm surge, definitely severe along the East Coast in that right front quadrant, and also wind damage, because this is moving fast. So you're going to have high winds well inland, and you don't really have the Sierra Madre mountains weakening this all too much, since it's coming on shore a little bit further towards the south. Here's the big picture, by the way. Goni here, Philippines here. You got Okinawa, Taiwan, right? Then we have Atsani towards the south of Guam. Tropical storm. Warnings are in place out there in Guam. This is passing just towards the south and west of the island. Here's the thing. Look at the extended forecast. Yeah, could push off there towards northern Luzon, or it could get picked up by a trough and pull towards the north towards Okinawa. There is a big disparity in the extended forecast. I'm going to talk about this maybe more so tomorrow or the day after. Guys, let's talk about Goni now. I know this is worrisome, but I try to concentrate on what is a problem now. By the way, thank you very much, Leandro, for sending this photo in. If you guys got any photos, not only of beautiful sunsets, by the way, but also of this typhoon when it comes on shore, please share with me. I'll try my best to keep them in these weather updates. And if you do not already do it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. I do this as a hobby, so the more subscriptions, the better. Kind of just get some more viewership on there. Plus, follow me on all these social media platforms if you can. Of course, the number one thing I always say, though, I've been doing this for many years now. I was on NHK World, for those of you who are new to following this. So I'm used to broadcasting, cover typhoons in the Western Pacific, not just some random white guy on here talking. But be sure to check in with PAGASA if you are ahead of this. They know what they're talking about, and over the course of the last 10 years, they've undergone a massive improvement in their forecasting capabilities. You got a lot of diehard people in there that know what they're doing, and they really, really care. It's not just their job. I think they honestly care. I know they honestly care, I should say. So be sure to check in with PAGASA as well for your latest warnings and forecast. Stay safe out there, guys.